Commonwealth of Massachusetts is going to aid and abet. You have two types of people, two guys, two black men, one with no criminal history. You have another one with a criminal history. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts is deciding to put all their resources to protect the one with a criminal history against the one with no criminal history. Right? So you're willing to aid and abet the criminal, right? By hiding his crimes. By hiding his crimes, you're willing to aid and abet and use obstruction of justice. The only way you can win this case is with obstruction of justice, right? To use obstruction of justice by obstructing the surveillance video. So you're gonna win the case by using obstruction of justice. One of the ways the prosecution plans on winning this case, outside of obstruction of justice and aiding and abetting a criminal, is to instead of using evidence, they're going to trade in evidence for assumptions. So they're going to be like, or just the natural assumption that, okay, well, he must have done something. He must have done something. That's why they're trying to convict him. Right? So that's an assumption. So it's going to be the assumption of guilt. But that's unconstitutional. Because they're supposed to give me presumption. Every human being or every citizen is supposed to have the presumption of innocence. But the way they're staging this case is that it's presumption of guilt. They're using their key evidence against me. It's not evidence. Because it's not evidence unless you presume that I'm guilty. In other words, it doesn't make sense until you presume. So there's a prerequisite to their evidence. And that prerequisite is that I'm presumed guilty. Or the evidence doesn't make sense. Because if you have two people who are in a fight, one gets the best of the other. The one who got the best of the other, is he guilty because he got the best of the other? Or is he... So in other words, if the other guy got the best of me, is he guilty and I'm innocent? See, it doesn't make sense unless you presume that I was the one that was guilty in the first place. So what they have and they're trying to present it as evidence is not evidence. It's evidence with the presumption of guilt, which is unconstitutional, which makes the case unconstitutional if the judge allows it. If the judge allows it, it makes the case unconstitutional. So the way the prosecution is trying to win this case is through the presumption of guilt without saying it. And that's why they took the position to keep me from the store. So they could say this: we had to bar him from the store. So if you bar somebody from the store, you assume that the store is the one that barred me. But it wasn't the store that barred me, it was the courts that barred me. But you assume that the store barred you, and maybe you're a business person yourself. If I bar somebody, it's because they've done something against me. So that's almost, so you're presuming, it's like they're encouraging the presumption of guilt by making these um, situations where they where I can't go to the store. So they barred me from the store in order to make it seem like the store barred me. It's all a deception. It's all the magics of the court. They've done this for years. They've been locking up black men for years. They know all the deception. They know all the trickeries. They know all the magic courtroom to make you feel like I'm the guilty one. But the facts remain that their client is a criminal with a criminal history. We're known for drugs. We're known for shoplifting at that own store, from that own place, shoplifting. Who's known from fighting at that same location, previous fighting. I'm not known from shoplifting. I'm not known for fighting at that location, right? But they chose to protect that person because the racist looks at it this way. If you have two black men, one criminal, one who's never committed a crime, who do you go for, right? A normal person would say, well, you go for the criminal. But the racist just looks at it this way. He says, all right, so we have two niggas. Our whole purpose is to lock up as many niggas as possible. So we're not going to go for the criminal. Why? Because the criminal, he's a criminal. And with a criminal, you just wait until he commits a crime. That's why he's a criminal. So they can wait for him to do something else if they really want to lock him up. Right? But he's an agent of chaos. He's working with them. They released him. He was on parole. His purpose is to do what he's doing now. Is to recruit as many black men as possible. That's his whole purpose. He's just doing his job. So they're not going to lock him up because he's helping them. They're going to go after the one that would never be in any trouble in the first place. But they're going to lock him up. They're going to try to lock me up. So they're going to support the criminal. They're going to aid and abide a criminal in his crimes and hide his crimes because he was committing crimes, major crimes, to go after me. And then if they ever need to arrest him, they have multiple stuff to go after him for. So they're not worried about that. If he starts producing black men and he's not recruiting like they see like he's supposed to be doing, then they're gonna lock him up at some point. They'll bring some old thing, some old charges, and get him for that. As long as he's producing, because this is, at the end of the day, it's a business to them. Black on black crime, black on black violence, they're looking to get paid off. They're not really looking to solve it. They're solving to get paid off of it. They want charges. They want murder charges is the best. They want assaults. They want all of this. This is time. This is money for them. And this is what no one is talking about. No one is talking about how they use criminals to go after individual black men with no criminal history. No one's talking about this. Okay, so another way they're going to use the presumption of guilt without saying it is by barring me. Oh, they put a restraining order. They put a restraining order against me and the individual. The minute you hear, a restraining order was placed on a person, right? You think of, one, the individual, because you can't put a restraining order on. It doesn't make sense to put a restraining order on a person that you don't know. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they look like. You don't know where they live. Restraining order is to keep you away from a person that you know, because you have some history with them, and they need to be protected. So it says, one, you have some history with them. It says, two, you know the individual, right? And three, that you're the one who's doing the stalking. So three things. You know the individual, you have some history with the individual, and you're the one doing the stalking. Right? Which is not the case. First of all, I never met this individual. He just assaulted me, and I don't know why he assaulted me. That let it be known. Right? I've never met the individual. I don't know what he looks like. You know, other than the video or what I can remember that happened 2 years ago. You know, I don't know what he looked like. I don't know where he lives. I don't know his name. Nothing. Never met him. So why would there be a restraining order on somebody who I don't know what they look like, I don't know where they live, and I never met them? It doesn't make sense. But it's to make me perceive as if, so you can have presumption of guilt. You can assume that I know him. It's assumptions. They're trading in evidence for assumptions. That's what this is about. It's trickery. It's trickery of the courtroom. So you have me being barred from the store, trickery of the courtroom. The whole purpose of it is not to help the store for the safety purposes. It's so you presume that the store is the one that barred me. So if the store barred me, that's almost like testimony that the store has something against me. But the store doesn't have anything against me, because the store asked me, you know, if I can be a security for them. When they see my behavior and they see how I acted as a, you know, as someone honorable, as somebody who was, you know, protecting others, somebody who was there that night saving lives, they asked me if I can be a security. I told them, and then I asked them, oh, well, how much will you pay me? And they were like, you know, they gave me the numbers. I was like, you know, that's not really enough for me to do that type of work. But if you allow me to sell my items, if you allow me to sell my product in your store, then I would consider doing that. That's something I would consider. But they never got back to me. But they can't do that, because 7-Eleven has certain products they have to go by to hold up the 7-Eleven store. So they can't do that. But that also shows the kind of desperate situation the 7-Eleven feels in that type of environment, where there's a high toxic criminal area in that area. You know, every day there's something going on, to the point where they feel vulnerable. You know, they feel vulnerable. So they want security there. They're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you the store asked me to be security. They're going to make it seem like the store wanted me to bar. So the court barred me because the store, that's an assumption you would normally take, you would naturally take. The store wanted me barred. So this is a case where they're going to produce assumptions over proofs. So the whole case is full of assumptions, and they're masters at this. They strategically, you know, set this up this way. So if you want to support me in getting a lawyer, you know, I'll release my Cash App or GoFundMe page to help me, you know, try to fight this case, so I could you have a lawyer to represent me.